And that really takes us to discuss about the responsible AI. Microsoft is always committed to the advancement of AI driven by principles because they always put people first. So the generative models are such ones where it is available within Azure OpenAI Service, and it has a lot of significant benefits in there. But if you don't carefully design or consider, some of these models, they have the potential to generate incorrect or even harmful content. And that's where responsible AI principles comes into play. So there are 6 responsible AI principles that when you are creating machine learning models or utilizing the large language models, you need to be always considering about. The first one is fairness. So the AI system should treat all the people fairly. So there shouldn't be any bias. So for instance, if you are creating a loan approval application, you need to make sure the loan approval application is trained with the right set of data. So for instance, if you train that with the data where you have only people with 30 plus years old were used in the training data, and then they are the only people who will be getting the loan approved. You need to make sure like your training data should have a fair amount of range in there, and also like it has to be fair without any biases. Reliability and safety is the next principle where all the AI systems should perform reliably and safely. And this is a classic example. If you take autonomous car or what we call it as a driverless cars, right? So if it doesn't perform well, it is going to create harm for humans. So basically, like people can even lose their life. So that's why when we take these type of when we generate these type of solutions, we need to test it thoroughly so that it performs reliably and safely. Privacy and security. This is getting more and more paramount. So the AI system should be secure and respect privacy. The reason for that is because all these models are trained with large volumes of data, and these large volumes of data need to be taken into consideration really well. So these data need to be secured safely, as well as like any personally identifiable data need to be treated with privacy. Inclusiveness. All AI systems should empower everyone and engage people. In the previous slide, we talked about being inclusive, and you need to include people irrespective of whether they have disabilities or not. And this needs to be applicable when it comes to inclusiveness. The last two principles are really important: transparency and accountability. When we talk about transparency, at any point in time, if someone comes and says, like, okay, so you have denied my loan application, can you show me what the workflow process that you followed to deny my application? So all the AI systems should be able to showcase, and it needs to be transparent around how it arrived at that decision. Similarly, whether the AI has taken provided a good decision or bad decision doesn't matter. The organization should be accountable for that. So the people should be accountable for the AI systems within the organization, and that is an important aspect. So Microsoft take these responsible AI principles seriously. So whenever they create pre-built AI models within internally at Microsoft, they follow this responsible AI principles, and also they have published what we call it as a responsible AI standard version 2. So this is because they wanted to share their learnings with their customers. So because they have noticed some of their customers, they are creating custom AI models. So they Microsoft has released this document which is available on MS Learn, so that the customers can follow what are these principles and how they can follow in their custom machine learning models. We talked about Azure AI Content Safety briefly in the initial slides. We'll be talking about that in detail on day 3, which is module 4. So Azure AI Content Safety is basically it is mainly created so that organizations can use the Gen AI solutions in a safer online spaces. So the Azure safety, content safety, it classifies harmful content into 4 categories like hate, sexual, self-harm, and violence. And now what it is going to do is like every prompt or the question that you are asking, it is going to be scanned for the content safety. So if there is any malicious content used, then it is going to be like it is going to be prevented sending it to the large language model, and vice versa. Sometimes you can send a prompt, the response that you are getting from the large language models, it can have malicious content. Again, that will also be prevented sending back to the user or filtered with the help of Azure AI Content Safety. So this is going to be really important because the content safety is going to be helping businesses so that they can implement their policies and also make sure the large language models can be used in the safer environment. So this is another slide which I need to talk about because a lot of people talk about the customer copyright information. So Microsoft provides a customer copyright commitment for the Azure OpenAI service. So you don't need to worry about that because Microsoft takes the responsibility and they are committed and they will stand for the customer around the any copyright questions or anything that is coming through to the customer. So you can confidently use without worrying about any copyright violations by using the Azure OpenAI service. So this is just a final diagram just to show how responsible AI works within Azure OpenAI Service. So here a customer application, they can ask a prompt. So this can be like a chat application or a website from where you can ask a question. And now it is going to be talking to the Azure OpenAI endpoint, and it is going to just say like, okay, if there is malicious content, it is going to be in the prompt, it is going to come back to the customer application and say, I can't send this to the large language model. But if it doesn't have malicious content, it is going to be checked for the any output that is coming from the responsible AI in here. So for instance, the Azure OpenAI endpoint, the response that is coming here, it is again going to be scanned for the Azure AI Content Safety. And if there is any malicious content, then it is going to be filtered. So as you can see here, whether it is a prompt, whether it is a response, if either the prompt or the response has got malicious content, it is going to be filtered by the Azure AI Content Safety.